Welcome back to Life Tales. Today, we're diving into one of Reddit's most unbelievable communities, r/entitled parents. You know the type, parents who think the world owes them everything, and kids who can do no wrong. From outrageous demands to jaw-dropping behavior, these stories will make you laugh, shake your head, and maybe even feel a little grateful for your own family. So, buckle up. Here are some of the wildest entitled parent stories Reddit has to offer. My mother has always been emotionally immature and would unload all her traumas and tell them to me like I was her therapist. Even when I was a kid and she picked me up from school, she would barely let me put on my seatbelt before she would launch into the latest story of how my father wronged her and what they fought about that day. When I went off to college, as far away as possible, she clung to me sobbing as if she was a child and I was her kindergarten teacher. She wailed, "Who will comfort me now when I'm upset? Who will help me when I'm sad?" At the top of her lungs, in the middle of my dorm, her eyes bugging out with tears streaming down her bright red face like an infant. Now I have moved to another state completely. We barely talk, but I feel like her behavior has regressed as they both are getting older. She called me last night, and I didn't pick up because I was sleeping. I woke up to see a massive block of text where she said they had a huge fight, and she described what they fought about, what he said, what she said, and what they didn't agree on. I didn't answer. And today, I saw she has started sending me photos of their text conversations where he apologized, as if I'm her psychologist who needs to keep tabs on her interpersonal relationships in order to monitor her mental health. I find that super uncomfortable because I do not want to be involved in my parents' arguments, and I do not want to know what they fight about, nor feel like I'm a part of it, which she is kind of indirectly making me be. I just ignore the messages for now because I don't have the emotional bandwidth to deal with it. I think I need to put my foot down soon before she escalates further or just has a complete breakdown. I'm not really sure what to do because speaking to her clearly and logically doesn't help. She just scoffs and whines more and invalidates what I say. But I feel like I need to stop her before she gets even worse. I haven't had the best relationship with my parents lately, but this year, things really hit me. Back in April, just before I flew to France, I live in Canada now, my mom suddenly told me they were selling the house I grew up in. They made it sound like it was just because the stairs and upkeep were too much. I asked questions, but my mom got upset, and my dad even joked they'd live in a tent. Then, after arguing, they decided not to come see me in Paris to avoid more fights in person, and it really hurt me. Since then, they've been staying rent-free at an old neighbor's house. A few days ago, I randomly looked up the address online and discovered the truth. The house had gone to public auction at half its value because my dad never paid taxes. They never told my sister or me. We only found out by accident. I feel so angry and hurt that they lied about something so huge. Instead of being honest, they made up excuses and acted like nothing was wrong. Now that I'm pregnant, they're suddenly more present, but I don't know if it's genuine or if I should keep my distance. Has anyone else had their parents hide something this big from them?
I have always been scared of my mom. She used to have really bad anger issues that calmed down over the years, but sometimes the smallest thing can set her off, and she'll just scream like crazy. When I was 14, I asked if I could get braids that were all black, an acceptable color to her, with just a hint of pink in the back. At the shop, she refused to let me do it and screamed at me so badly. In the car, because I stayed quiet, she threatened to slam my head against the window for acting that way. Another time, I managed to convince her to let me do brown and blonde braids. During the whole process, she kept repeating how she would never allow it again, how ungodly it was, and how Christians shouldn't do things like that. A few months later, she told me that was the ugliest I had ever looked and that the braids made me look disgusting. I've always wanted to experiment with makeup too, but she was extremely judgmental when I told her my friends were doing it. She constantly bashed people who didn't present themselves like her. Then, after seeing her friends' daughters wear makeup, she suddenly wanted a full glam look. Now she complains that I don't know how to do makeup, hair, or nails like my friends do. Even though every time I showed interest in those things, she completely shut me down. She acts like you can just randomly start being good at something without any practice and doesn't realize that makeup and supplies are expensive and you have to build it up step by step. Even though her physical anger has gone down over the years, if I ever do something she technically allows, she'll later complain endlessly, saying she would never let me do it again. She constantly won't allow me things, but the moment her friends' daughters start doing it, suddenly, why am I not a professional at it?
I am 16, male, and I live alone with my mom, 48, and our dog. Growing up, my mom always chose things for me, and I never learned how to make smart choices or choose for myself. But recently, I've realized how controlling my mom actually is. There's so much I want to say, and it might be confusing since I'm not good at explaining or keeping things organized, so please forgive me if it doesn't make sense. I have depression and ADHD, and I am medicated for my ADHD. My old medication I would take almost my whole life, and the side effect was affecting my hunger. I just never ate much. Over the years, I've learned about my diet and managed to get really healthy by eating nutritious food and taking care of myself. But my mom never liked how skinny I was and made me switch medication without my say. Now she makes me eat more than I can handle. I have gained weight, but I don't like it. If I want to gain weight, I want to do it because I want to. She also switched my medication during school, and that horribly affected my learning, to the point where I may not graduate next year. Another thing is I have PTSD from being sexually abused as a kid. I get flashbacks of his touches, get triggered by certain topics, and the worst are nightmares that are worse than what he did to me. What helps with the nightmares is my stuffed sloth, Fred. I got him when I was 12, and I've rarely slept without him. Even my doctor said I have to keep him because it helps. But my mom doesn't like it and is trying to make me get rid of him because I'm too old. Honestly, it feels like she's saying it's my fault. The boy we took in couldn't control himself. I want to dye and cut my hair because I am transgender, but she won't even let me get a trim. She also won't support my gender identity unless she gets to pick everything. My name, my clothes, everything. She also won't let me draw on my things. Since she controls my clothes, drawing on my hands, shoes, books, etc., is the only way I can express myself fully. She saw the stickers I put on my headphones and said, "If you ruin anything else, I'm throwing your phone out." Now I have no way to fully express myself other than the one new outfit she let me get, and even then, I don't really like it. One of the worst things is her not letting me move schools. I get severely bullied for being transgender. I've been called the R slur and told to permanently sleep, if you know what I mean. She knows all of this and still refuses to let me switch. There's so much more, but I want to keep it short. I want to know if what she's doing is considered abuse.
And that's it for today's stories. Which one shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss more wild tales from Reddit.